hear the sound of the breeze carrying us away. Dust in the rear view, free as a bird. This is our time, no matter what they say. Every mile behind only brought us here. Now the road is clear. Shotgun ride on my Friday night. Sunset fire burning in our eyes. Let's leave the past in the past and deal with it another day. All we got is this open road. No plans, just a cranked up radio. Ain't promising forever, ain't no end in sight. Girl, I'm loving the ride. You know I'm loving the ride. Oh yeah, loving the ride.
Hey friends, welcome back to Minor Details, the podcast where no detail is too minor and the real life moments matter most. I'm your host, Jess Minor, and each week we take a closer look at the small details in life, the ones that might seem insignificant in the moment, but eventually shape the direction of who we become. Now, before we get into today's episode, I just want to take a moment to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to this podcast. It honestly means so much to me that you all tuned in to hear me talk, or let's be honest, hear me yap a little bit. But truly, I hope this space becomes something really special. I hope it becomes a place where we can build community, share stories, and have conversations that help inspire, motivate, and support one another wherever we are in life. And that actually brings me into today's topic, because today I want to share where I currently am with my own life. And the way I've been describing it lately is this: I'm living in my pink era. Now, I know that might sound a little funny at first, because when people hear pink era, they might think about aesthetics, outfits, decorating everything pink, or some kind of trend. But what I'm really talking about is something deeper than that. To me, a pink era represents a season of life, a mindset, a shift in how I'm choosing to move through the world. Now, something I've been thinking about a lot lately is how much our lives really happen in eras. We move through these different chapters that shape us. Sometimes we're in our survival era, where we're honestly just trying to make it through the day. Sometimes we're in our hustle era, where we feel like we constantly have to prove ourselves, work harder, achieve more, and always keep pushing forward. And sometimes we find ourselves in a healing era, where we start unpacking things we didn't even realize we were carrying in the first place. And then there are seasons where things start to feel a little different, a little softer, a little more intentional, a little more aligned. And lately, I've realized that I'm stepping into a different kind of season, one that does feel lighter. And not because life suddenly became perfect, because trust me, my life is far from perfect, but because I've started looking at it differently. For me, my pink era represents a season where I'm choosing peace over pressure, growth over perfection, grace over guilt. And honestly, those are lessons that have taken me a really long time to learn. This past year has been a really reflective one for me. Turning 30 made me pause in a way that I don't think I had before. Because your 20s can sometimes feel like a blur. You know what I'm talking about. You're figuring out who you are. You're making mistakes. You're learning lessons. And you're trying to just keep up with the pace of life. And sometimes you're just trying to survive it all. But stepping into my 30s made me slow down and ask myself some really important questions. Questions like, who am I now? What do I want my life to actually feel like? What kind of example do I want to set for my kids? And what kind of person do I want to continue becoming? And those questions led to a lot of reflection. Now, one of the biggest changes in my life over the past year has been staying sober. And that experience alone has taught me so much about myself. Sobriety gave me a space to actually sit with my thoughts, which, if you've ever been inside my brain, you know that can be a little scary sometimes. But it also gave me the opportunity to reflect. to process things I might have pushed aside before. It forced me to become more honest with myself about my life, my choices, and the kind of person I want to be moving forward. And while that journey hasn't always been easy, it has been incredibly meaningful. It helped me reconnect with parts of myself that I think I had lost touch with for a while. Which brings me into another really important part of this season of my life, which has been allowing my faith to be louder in my life again. There was a time where I think I kept that part of myself a little quieter. Maybe because I didn't feel fully grounded in it yet. Maybe because I was still figuring things out. But over the past year, I've realized that my faith actually brings me a lot of peace. And I've learned that I don't have to hide the things that help guide me in life. Faith, reflection, and growth have all played a huge role in helping me become more aligned with the person that I want to be. And I want to pause for a moment and invite you into this conversation. Because even though this episode is about my pink era, I believe every single one of us is in some kind of era in our lives right now. Maybe you're in a rebuilding season. Maybe you're in a season where you're trying to figure out what direction your life is going. Maybe you're in a healing era. Or maybe you're stepping into something that feels softer, more aligned with who you really are. So here's something I want you to think about. If you had to name a season of life you're in right now, what would you call it? Your growth era? Your rediscovery era? Your rebuilding era? Or maybe, like me, you're stepping into your pink era. Because one of the things I love about thinking about life this way is that it reminds us that nothing is permanent. The hard seasons pass, the confusing seasons pass, and the seasons where we grow into ourselves, those are the ones that shape us the most. One thing I've really been learning lately is that strength doesn't always look the way we think it does. For a long time, I believed that strength meant pushing through everything, being tough, never slowing down, always doing more. But lately, I've been realizing something different. Strength can actually look a lot softer than that. Strength can look like setting boundaries, resting when you need to, choosing peace over chaos, allowing yourself the space to grow. And honestly, I think that's what my pink era represents. It's not about being fragile. It's about creating a life that feels more balanced, more intentional, and more aligned with the person I'm becoming. And that brings me to today's minor detail. One thing I've been realizing lately is that some of the biggest changes in our lives don't always come from huge dramatic moments. Sometimes they come from small decisions that quietly shift the direction of our lives. Decisions that maybe only we understand the weight of. And today, I want to share something that feels like a major minor moment in my life. Something that might seem simple on the surface, but for me, represents a really meaningful step forward. And honestly, it's something I've never done before. For the first time in my life, I've started therapy. And saying that out loud feels both exciting and very vulnerable because therapy is something I've thought about for a really long time. But actually taking that step means choosing to sit with things I've experienced, things I've learned, and things I'm still growing through. And in a lot of ways, I think that decision represents exactly what my pink era is about. Because my pink era isn't about pretending that everything is perfect. It's about being intentional with my growth, taking care of my mental health, becoming the healthiest version of myself, not just for me, but for my family, my faith, and the life I'm continuing to build. Starting therapy feels like opening a new chapter, a chapter where I'm allowing myself to explore things more deeply, learn more about myself, and continue evolving into the person I'm meant to be. And I think that's something really important to normalize. growth isn't something we have to do alone. Sometimes growth looks like asking for help. Sometimes it looks like being honest about where we are in life. And sometimes it looks like taking that first step into something new, even if it feels uncomfortable and so scary. So for me, this week's major minor detail is stepping into therapy for the first time. And I see it as a really meaningful part of the season of life that I'm in. And I do want to share my therapy journey with you guys throughout this show. As a psychology major, I know that the brain does not get rewired overnight. It is a process, and it is a process that doesn't have a timeline. I want to be as transparent and vulnerable with you guys as I can, while also maintaining my peace for the sake of my own mental health. I've been through a hell of a lot in my life, and it's something that I joke about a lot. I feel like I've lived a million different lives in the last 30 years, especially within the last decade. But I'm about to be 31, and I feel like my 30s are already the best years of my life, which I've been looking forward to them for a really long time. Truly, this season of my life is dedicated to healing and growth and all the things that will just ultimately make me a better person all around. Not better than, but better because I want to be someone who people can gravitate to when they need help, when they need guidance, when they need that light at the end of the tunnel. And I always want to be open and honest and share the things that have shaped me into who I am today. Because I wasn't always this person. I was chaotic, I was emotional, I was all the things. But my therapist is amazing, and we are working through those things. So if you want to see that journey, if you're interested in it at all, keep listening to this podcast. I already know I have so much to dive into, and I'm excited for you guys to see what that journey looks like for me. And also to look back at this for me is going to be a fun experience as well. So keep following along if you guys are interested in that. So maybe I want to leave you with this question today. What era are you in right now? Are you rebuilding, healing, learning? Or maybe you're stepping into a season where life starts to feel a little softer. A season where you realize that life doesn't always have to feel like a constant fight. Whatever season you're in, I hope you allow yourself the grace to grow through it. Because sometimes the smallest shifts in how we see ourselves create the biggest changes in our lives. Maybe your life doesn't look exactly the way you imagined it would by now. Maybe you're still figuring things out. But that's the beauty of life, my friends. We're always evolving. And maybe the season you're stepping into next will bring you closer to the person you were always meant to become. Maybe it's your pink era too. And that is all I have for you guys today about my pink era. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. You can share this episode, send it to a friend, or connect with me on social media. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And until next time, remember that no detail is too minor. Bye.